Silence. I will tell a small story. A sustainable lifestyle follower went to ATM, where ATM said, I won't be printing receipts to save the environment. Says the ATM, which is kept in a small room with 4 ACs and 2 lights on 24/7. Haha. Namaste people, welcome to the show Get Set Green. I'm your host Pooja R V. This podcast was created as a part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify. Today we have our new guest of this week. Let me introduce her with a brief introduction. So she was a journalist before, and with all the incidents happening around triggered her to become into a person who is more conscious towards the sustainable living. And also she is the founder of Slow and Conscious Living. So let me welcome Pooja Domadia to the show.
Hi, Pooja. So we have two Poojas in the show today.
Yeah, today Pooja Square.
Yes.
And yeah,
Thank you.
we are so happy to know about you and your journey and how we came along all the way.
Thank you.
So Pooja, as we all know in the introduction that you were a journalist before, right? So however, you might be having certain situations in your life where you feel, even though it's not your profession, you will be more inclined towards other things or hobbies, I can say. Was this your hobby before? Like, were you practicing all this conscious living and sustainable stuff before and you wanted to make it big? Or is it that there is certain story which we don't know yet?
Okay. As far as I can remember, I had always been a person who was attracted to natural spots and would prefer being in the forests and on the beach. But, and was conscious from an angle that I wouldn't use tissue papers. I would avoid plastic, and I remember being in school having this discussion with my bhabhi that please, lower the speed of the tap because there's a lot of water getting wasted. So very basics, I think I was doing for as long as I can remember. But then I was working as a journalist, and that job made me meet a lot of people. That was the best part of my job, that I ended up meeting so many people from different walks of life. And one such was a person who was composting. I mean, a family that was composting at home. And I visited their home, and it was just amazing how waste had turned into something so nice. And they, as a family, they were very particular that no waste would go out of their house. And I said, oh wow, this is such a you get fertilizer as a part of by just using your waste. That's so nice. Yeah. And he said, this compost is just a byproduct. My aim is to reduce waste from the landfill. ये तो ठीक है, जो मिल गया वो मिल गया. But that is my aim is not to get more quantity of waste. My aim is to lower my waste going to the landfill. And that line stayed with me. I was like, okay, why would someone do without having a benefit for themselves, right? Because he didn't have enough plants at home. He would go and put all of this compost in his society, or where he lived. Behind that there are some hills. So he would just go and randomly put it out on the hills. So I was like, wow, he's not gaining enough out of it, but he's putting that effort.
That's so sweet and nice, great gesture. I can say.
Yes. So this is, and after some years of this instance, I thought I would like to do composting, but it took time for me to mentally prepare myself, and also that I was busy with my job and stuff, so could not, do that. So in 2017, I quit my job with any other job in hand or any strong plan of what to do. I knew I wanted to do something in waste sector, but I didn't know what. I had some other plan which didn't work out because that needed heavy capital, and I didn't have all of that. So for 1.5 years, I was not doing anything that earned me money, but I was doing a lot that was preparing me or sensitizing me rather towards this low waste lifestyle. So when I quit my job, I knew that the first thing I want to do is compost. So I started composting, and I realized that okay, wet waste is going now. What is still going into the bin? And I realized that there are still so many wrappers and whatnot, right?
Right.
Your batteries and wrappers and a lot, sanitary pads. So that's when I thought of reducing one thing at a time. And slowly I was able to reduce a lot of waste. And yeah, and then I ended up talking a lot about it to anyone, whether it is a friend or any unknown, like literal strangers. I would talk about it very passionately.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that has been a part of my journey that way.
Yeah, when you are so passionate about something, like you don't need someone to listen to you. It's just that you want to say, like, please, it's, like their receiving tendency is there or it's fluctuating. It doesn't matter when you are so
Yeah.
in that particular mode. So, yeah, that was, like quite a nice journey, I can say, from being noticing the things and then analyzing. And after that, you made a lot of research and you invested certain time in that, because it's not like you had so much money or like you had so much time or you had backup plans to go into
Yeah.
anything right after you left your job, right? So yeah, I want to congratulate you and appreciate you for that fact, having that bold decision that even without any backup plan, you made this happen. So
Thank you.
and
That was actually also because that I was not the only breadwinner of my house, so that helped me. If that had been the case, then it would have been difficult. But thankfully,
yes, that's
that bit
there.
helped.
Yeah, that was at least one quite privilege, like you had one
That's
opportunity.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure. So one more thing, like when you wanted to do something, right? Why exactly this slow and conscious living? Because why not something else? Like you could have joined any people or movements or whatever they do. Instead, you started your own venture. Like you started it from scratch. So can you
Yeah.
please tell us more about like how slow and
Yeah.
conscious living evolved around the time?
Right. So when I started, so as I was saying that I would end up talking to anyone about my journey, right? And because I was so involved into it, I was thinking so much about it that I ended up talking to anyone about it. During the whole process, I just realized that this is something I can do as a profession, because ultimately, okay, for 1.5 years I didn't do anything, but ultimately I had to start, doing something that earned me money and basically a basic livelihood.
Yeah.
So I thought, how about doing these workshops? And also, it was actually Rakhi as a product where I was thinking that, because more or less, otherwise, I was reducing on a lot of things in my life. So when Rakhi came, I was like, I want to buy Rakhi that doesn't have plastic. By the way, yes, Rakhis have plastic beads, which we don't realize, but these are very small beads. All the glitter that doesn't come without plastic.
Yes.
So what do you do with that? And also, even if it is metal, so metal is so, it is mined, and the emissions are pretty high. So when you are using a Rakhi which you're going to ultimately throw away in a few days, uh, it, it is important to be slightly, focusing on it, that what are the resources being used there.
Yes.
So when for the first year I was on a hunt for Rakhi, and I could not find something that matched my need well. In the second year, when I found something, I thought that, why not take some extra. So I got some extra Rakhi, so that, just in case if there was anyone else who needed it. And yes, people did buy. Buy is back then I didn't even put any profit or anything. It was just that I got extra to give it to someone. You can just take it at this price. I've just got it, and in case you want to have it. And those were paper Rakhis and bamboo Rakhis, and I was really happy with it. But that's when I realized that maybe this is the way I can add to the accessibility of products, because a lot of these products, especially back then, now you still have a lot of access, especially online. Back then you didn't have, most of it was coming from Amazon, and I'm not someone who would support Amazon for multiple reasons. So, and again, Amazon also brought in so much of unwanted plastic packaging, so all the bubble wraps and things. So I wasn't in favor of it, so I thought, let me just start with little things. So that's how I started with products, and thankfully I was in touch with someone who could connect me to several NGOs and tribals and people around who were making a lot of these products. So to me, it made so much sense that it's also promoting local
Yeah.
economy, and also being, very mindful of the product ingredients used, right? So it is very environmentally and socially conscious as a venture. So that's how I basically, started Slow and Conscious Living.
Yeah,
And Slow and Conscious just came as to me because I've otherwise been a very slow person all my life. And because everyone around me would be like, speed up, speed up, speed up. And I found myself racing all the time. And ultimately, I also found people to be less mindful of their actions. So even if it is like basic key, don't throw that wrapper on the road. You might as well wait till the time you find the dustbin. The friend would be like, time किसके पास है? And I wondered, तुम लोग इतना जल्दी काम करते हो, फिर भी इतना time के साथ करते क्यों? What do you do with all the time that you have? And I felt that too fast that we were working, we were getting less conscious about our actions. So I embraced my pace, and I was like, I'm good as I am because I'm conscious of my actions. So yeah, that's how Slow and Conscious Living came into existence.
I totally take that point where you mentioned that people are saving time and pacing and racing and hustling with all this juggling life things. Even I feel that we are thinking that we are racing, but actually we are lagging. This is what I feel because
True,
we think that we are saving time by running and running and we are losing ourselves in the journey. This
true,
is what
true,
I feel.
true.
And if
Yes.
we take into account the number of actions which we do in a day, there are very less actions which we do by conscious. We don't think of. Let me take an example which you mentioned, that being mindful of what were the ingredients present in a product which we use. During Rakhi, many people buy Rakhis, right? So all we
Yeah.
see is like aesthetic looks, like how shiny it is, how bright it is,
Yes.
how many designs it has, how unique it looks. This is what we
Yes.
generally consider. But
Yes.
being in other aspect, it also causes, so much amount of pollution. We are not saying that celebrating it is wrong, but the thing
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
we have to be mindful about what we are taking as a
Yes. Yes.
consumer. So
Yeah.
I
And
really,
absolutely, if you look at it, Rakhi is not a festival that is invented a few years back, right? It
yes,
has been there for such a long time.
yes,
But plastic hasn't been there for such a long time.
yeah,
So what
correct,
did they use before?
yeah.
So no one is asking to stop celebrating. It's just be mindful of what you're using and just focus on why the festival started, or why the festival is celebrated in a certain way, or does it make sense to do it, if things are relevant today or not, or have you changed it way too much for your convenience, which is in the case, right? We've changed it so much for our aesthetic purpose. So we can just focus on those lines and you'll find a lot of answers.
Yeah, that is so true. Like plastics is like we are seeing it from around some mid 1850s and 19, that industrial era when it started. And before that, we already had certain products to suffice our demands. But right now, it's like, all this marketing fancy stuff came and all these things are happening.
Yes.
And
Totally.
like I also want to know more about, like you mentioned that you got into touch with many NGOs and tribal people. Can you tell more about it? Like, this is what more important. You need to approach people, network people.
Okay. So let me give you one example of one of the products that we have. It is vetiver hat. I don't know if you know what vetiver is. Vetiver is basically, it's called khas or vada. Khas, vada, vetiver are the three names in terms of, in Gujarati and Hindi you call it khas. Vada is a Marathi term, and vetiver is the English term. It's basically roots of a sort of grass,
Hmm?
and this is very cooling. Okay. And like naturally cooling. And when I say cooling, I don't mean temperature dips. I mean, from the body heat perspective.
Okay.
So if you have it, I remember having vetiver curtains when I was a kid at our home. So
Mm-hmm.
every summer, I've had my childhood in Gujarat.
Oh.
So there, the heat during summers would be really high. So during summers, we would all be at home, and these vetiver curtains were, up at our windows or at our door, and we would pour in a lot of water on this, and then it would give a beautiful aroma, and it would cool. Make a very nice, cozy, cool atmosphere in the house. So they use the same vetiver to make cap. Okay.
Okay.
Now, how amazing of them. So it's their wisdom. The tribals are more connected to natural resources
Yes.
as, as compared to us.
Hmm.
So it is so beautiful that they are making caps. So when you are out in the sun, you can just sprinkle some water on the cap or dunk the water cap in a bucket of
Water.
water and just wear it on your head and then move out in sun. It will help you keep cool. So the whole idea is to be, using the tribal wisdom
Hmm.
and having a livelihood opportunity for them,
Hmm.
because they also need to be a part of the economic system, right? We can't be, I mean, yeah, they are so crucial to the economic system. We can't be ignoring them.
Yeah.
So and we can't be even doing that. Oh, stop everything that you are doing, set up factories everywhere, and oh, we are creating livelihood. No, it's so much in sync with natural resources and natural patterns and stuff.
Hmm.
So it just so that's how that's how we have a lot of products which are made using natural ingredients that give livelihood to these tribals and rural folks and marginalized folks. And we are not doing any favor to anyone. It's we are all in the business, right? So I don't want to make it sound like, oh, you're doing some charity and stuff. No, because we're getting something in return. You're getting a cap which is going to be a functional thing. You're going to be using a soap which is handmade by tribals, and you're going to use it for your body, which is also amazing for your skin. So it is no charity business or something. It's no social work without considering yourself. It's very much a business, but it is a mindful business,
Yeah.
wherein you are considering, wherein who the other parties, or where you are compassionate to the other people involved. It's not an exploitative business, basically, right?
Yeah, I too totally agree with that. Like improving and making better economy is not only with respect to opening companies or industries or factories. Yeah, and
Yes,
also it involves the mindful use of the natural resources, because we cannot exploit in such a way that the bearing
exactly.
capacity of the earth is like totally imbalanced, that it cannot take that load of extracting all those minerals. It has certain
Correct.
capacity within which it can balance. When you do it overuse, of course, it's going to cause many imbalances in the nature. And is that product a locally available one? I really like the amazing idea, using those roots and making the curtains, and now that they're making hats, that's so cool, like changing the designs and to meet the market demands. This is what we need, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes,
I
yes,
feel so
exactly.
happy about that part as well.
Yeah.
Listen to the second half in next episode. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for the next episode.